guys, if you're new to Deception Bites, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. All right, guys, I'm back, and it is Friday, October 18th, and it is 9:21 p.m. It was earlier when I first started to record, but then we had a catastrophe. So, well, I wish that you could have seen it, but you can't. So I guess it sucks to be you. Anyway, let's get into the news because there is plenty of it, and hopefully I may have to pause this because my cat Sammy is really ticked off because I rearranged my closet and where he sleeps is no longer there. So he's very, very mad. I mean, really mad. He just discovered it. I tried to keep it a secret from him until after the recording was over, but well, you know. Anyway, let's get into the news. But first, I have a couple people to thank here. I want to thank Anne. She is a new Patreon supporter. Thank you so very, very much. And also to my coffee donors, Jenny M. in Tennessee. I love Tennessee. I used to live up in the mountains in North Carolina, so I used to skip over to Tennessee quite frequently. Anyway, and from Mama Love, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it, and this isn't possible without you guys, so I appreciate it. There is no advertising on my channel, so it helps. Anyway, let's get into the news now, and let's hope that Sammy settles down. All right, first this from Paul Ferber says on his 1000th, I have a hard time saying that, day in office, JFK was murdered in Dallas. On his 1000th day in office, President Trump deliberately holds a rally in Dallas. The coup that began in 1963 is finally about to be destroyed. Now, 1963, of course, is when JFK was assassinated. I think it was in November, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, I think that's interesting. I think there was a lot of, kind of gestulating yesterday about a lot of people were wondering if they had something planned for the rally, the deep state, meaning, many were wondering if there was going to be an attempt on Trump. And indeed, somebody was arrested wearing a bulletproof vest, had a gun, a weapon with him, but that seems to have disappeared from the news. So I don't know if we're going to find out more about that later or not. But it is interesting because this person was right outside the stadium when they were caught, I believe. So if any of you guys have heard anything else about that, please let me know in the comments because it helps us all. All right. Now, I'm sure you've all heard about Nancy Pelosi's meltdown. Oh, that's right. Well, if you were listening to the mainstream media, you heard it as President Trump having the meltdown. No, that's not what happened. Not according to people that were there. Anyway, let's take a look at what happened prior to Pelosi melting down, which she clearly did. All right. It says, must watch. Kevin McCarthy on Laura Ingraham. Pelosi was given letter President Trump sent to Turkish President Erdogan. Pelosi, I found out that is the proper way to pronounce it, is Erdogan. I guess the G is silent in Turkish. So anyway, that is how you pronounce it. I've been pronouncing it wrong all this time. Who knew? Anyway, well, you guys didn't because nobody corrected me. All right. Pelosi turns it over, places hand over it, refusing to read, and starts smiling. Trump asks, Nancy, why are you laughing? This is serious. So here they are at this meeting, and they're discussing the issue with Turkey. And you've got Pelosi and Schumer, across from Trump, giving them the old stink eye. And I mean, if looks could kill, really. Anyway, and so Trump passes around this letter. Pelosi turns it over, puts her hand over it, and starts to smile like she does because there's no thoughts up there, so she has to just smile. Like she did when they came out with this, when they came out afterwards, there was Pelosi and Schumer, and Chuck Schumer was talking about, Trump's so-called meltdown. And you would think that it would pain Nancy, that she would be, oh, this is awful. This is, but she's smiling like, yeah, I've got it over on him. Yep. Like a child. Seriously. Who does that? Nobody. All right. So let's take a listen to this.
The president starts out and he provides the letter that he sent to the president of Turkey, Erdogan. Very strong letter not to go into this area. As he passes it around, he starts with me. We hand it to every leader. You know what the Speaker Pelosi did? She doesn't read it. She turns it over flat to show in the president's face she's not going to read his letter. Then she starts to smile. The president calls her out. Nancy, why are you laughing? This is a serious item. The president starts out and he provides the...
That is the story. Not the story that we were told about Trump, just having this meltdown and then walking out. Had nothing to do with that. The president of the United States, the duly elected president of the United States, that we, the people, wanted to be in power, demanded to be in power through the power of our vote, she just looks at him and says she's not going to read it. Turns it over and puts her hand on it like a child. A child. In fact, you know what? I know children that behave far better than that. Far better than that. So that is the story behind the story that we didn't get to see. Yeah. Doesn't surprise me, and it doesn't surprise me that she was laughing. She was daring him to do something and he didn't. So they walked out. She was wanting him to have a meltdown. She was projecting. When she came out, she goes, oh, Trump had a meltdown. That's what she was wanting to do, is to make him have a meltdown. That's exactly what she was doing. And when he didn't, they just went with that narrative anyway. He didn't have the meltdown. She did. Anyway, I wanted to set that straight because I don't like our president being lied about at all. It really irritates me a lot. And I'm a long-suffering person. So really, for me to get irritated, it takes quite a bit. All right. And I love this. It is a classic comeback from Trump. I love it. And you can't make me not love it. Let's listen to this. A French reporter is asking President Trump, just a little bit of background here. She's asking Trump, like, our unemployment rate is so high and your unemployment rate is so low, basically. And listen to what Trump has to say.
You have very low unemployment rate in the US and we have a very high unemployment rate in France. How come what they are seeking for?
Well, maybe we have a better president than you do.
That's awesome. She's saying we have a very high unemployment rate and you have a very low unemployment rate. What is the recipe, or what is the secret? And he says, well, maybe we have a better president than you do. I mean, really, that is awesome. Whoever said this man is stupid is themselves very stupid, or else they're blind, deaf and dumb, because he's awesome. Maybe we have a better president than you do. That's classic Trump right there. All right, let's go back. Oh, we got so much to get to. All right, and let's look at this. Yeah, I think I went over this before, but I'm not sure now. But Barack Obama endorses Justin Trudeau despite blackface scandal. Wait a minute, isn't that foreign interference in the Canadian election? Yes, I think it is. Yes. So have you ever in the history of the United States ever seen a president endorse a Canadian candidate for prime minister? Ever? No. You know why? Because it's never happened. That's why. But, Barack Obama, expect anything. So there you go. Former President Barack Obama sparked surprise when he endorsed Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on Wednesday on Twitter. Obama indicated that Trudeau was the progressive leader of the world in his endorsement. Progressive leader of the world. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? He couldn't even keep a job working part-time as a drama instructor. He couldn't keep it. You know why? Because he slept with a 17-year-old student. That's why. Of course, you don't see that in the Canadian news. They keep it out of the Canadian news because our news is bought and paid for. It is. If you say what Trudeau wants you to say, you'll get the big money, the grants. If you don't, you won't get the money. So people, the press is in his pocket. So nobody's going to ask the really hard questions. And if they do, he just won't answer. So anyway, yeah. So in his estimation, now this is coming from the worst president, probably the worst president. I would say he's the worst president the United States has ever seen. But yeah, so he's thinking that Trudeau is the progressive leader of the world. Wow. Wow. And what are his qualifications? Trudeau? Well, he was a part-time drama teacher and a ski instructor. That's who we have running our country. And that's why it's in the mess that it is, and why I would like to, sometime soon, get back to the United States, where I belong. Yes, I love my country. I love Canada. No question about that. I was born here originally, but I lived in the United States most of my adult life, and I do consider it my home. I love the States. I love Americans, and I love everything that the United States stands for. All right, and I used to love what Canada used to stand for, but it's been so long that I've forgotten. Anyway, the most famous African-American politician did not mention Trudeau's blackface scandal. Oh, that's right. Here we call it brownface. Yeah, brownface. You ever heard that term before? Brownface. That's what the press here were calling it. No blackface here. It was brownface. Yeah. So anyway, Trudeau's blackface scandal that threatened to crater his chances at re-election. I was proud to work with Justin Trudeau as president, Obama continued. He's a hard-working, effective leader who takes on big issues like climate change. Yes, he can only take on non-existent issues because that's all he knows. And by the way, Greta Thunberg was here in Canada, upset the Canadians a lot. Anyway, so Obama's endorsement was also surprising because of his decision to engage in international politics, choosing to meddle in a foreign election. Yeah, stay out of it. You wrecked your own country. I mean, you didn't. I mean, you did wreck it, but thank the Lord that Trump came along and has been fixing your errors, Obama. But please don't mess Canada up any more than it is. Just stay there or go back to wherever, please. Obama's endorsement was also surprising. Okay, yeah. And more pointedly, Obama has not endorsed his former vice president, Joe Biden, in his presidential race. Well, that's not surprising. Really, it's not. Trudeau and Obama got along well during their brief time together before the former president left office. The first call I made to him, I said, Justin, congratulations. You and your family look great. You and your family look great. I know Canadians are incredibly inspired by your message of hope and change, Obama said when they met in 2015. No, they're not. I was proud. Okay, and this is just the actual tweet there. Yeah. The thing that got me with Justin Trudeau is when he went over to India and he dressed more Indian than the actual Indians. And it was an embarrassment to everyone. Yes, really it was. Okay, let's leave that. No, really, let's go back here and get into something else. All right. Let's look at this. No, really. Let's. All right. Now it says, watch. Democrats cut mic of Representative Steve Scalise during question to Speaker Pelosi about sham impeachment inquiry. Well, isn't that what it is? I don't even know if it rises to the level of a sham. You know? Anyway. On Monday, Representative Matt Gaetz stunned Americans when he revealed that he was being blocked from entering secret impeachment meetings with Democrat chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Adam Schiff, and Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. The American people should be asking, why does Nancy Pelosi enact a system that provides less due process for President Trump than Republicans provided for President Clinton? Representative Gaetz said. Representative Matt Gaetz asked, what is it about this impeachment of President Trump that is so different that would have Nancy Pelosi go to such extreme measures to keep the evidence secret? Well, maybe it's the fact that there is no evidence. At the conclusion of his interview, Representative Gaetz explained the real reason the Democrats are pushing for Trump's impeachment, saying, I think it's pretty insulting to all of the Democrats running for president that will be on the debate stage tonight that Nancy Pelosi has such little confidence in them that she's trying to remove the president now because I think there's an expectation that if he's not impeached, he will be reelected in 2020. Ouch! Absolutely, he will be reelected in 2020. And that is what they're all upset about. Like, they're honestly like a bunch of kindergartners, but I don't know. I think the kindergartners would behave a little bit better than they do, to tell you the truth. I mean, I don't want to insult any kindergartners. Excuse me. So, I don't know. It says watch, but I don't see that we can watch. It says Representative Gaetz told Fox News host Bill Hemmer that Democrats are creating entirely new rules for their impeachment efforts that are contrary to the rules Republicans used when they were impeaching Bill Clinton, Representative Gaetz explained. When the Republicans impeached President Bill Clinton, they set out rules that allowed the minority to subpoena witnesses that allowed the president's counsel to be present. We're blocked by guards. We're blocked by staff, Biggs exclaimed. I was just denied access to Adam Schiff's secret chamber where he is running the unauthorized impeachment inquiry of POTUS. Chairman Schiff and Speaker Pelosi are intentionally running Soviet-style hearings to deprive the American people of representation. By Representative Andy Biggs. Last night, Representative Steve Scalise had his mic cut off for the crime of asking Speaker Pelosi if the House had been authorized to conduct an impeachment inquiry into President Trump. Scalise is now sounding the alarm to alert Americans about the deeply disturbing events taking place on Capitol Hill. And it says, breaking, I just asked the Democrat majority a simple yes or no question. Has the House been authorized to conduct an impeachment inquiry into Donald Trump? They refused to even answer the question. The Dems literally cut my mic. This process is a total sham. Steve Scalise. Representative Steve Scalise warned that people all across this country should be alarmed by the sham impeachment hearings that are taking place behind closed doors. Scalise tweeted that Democrats are excluding the public, the press, and even members of Congress from this process. Representative Scalise asked, what are they trying to hide? Well, we know. They're trying to hide the fact that they don't have anything. People all across this country should be alarmed. Pelosi and Schiff are trying to impeach Donald Trump behind closed doors. They're excluding the public, the press, and even members of Congress from this process. What are they trying to hide? Yeah. And the behavior of these thug Democrat lawmakers, and that's what they are, they're thugs, is unprecedented. Why is the mainstream media ignoring this critical story? Are we still living in America? Well, I hope we are, but obviously the mainstream media isn't. They're somewhere in Nazi Germany or I don't know. But they, well, we've got the answer to that just from all the stuff that's been released about CNN. You know, they don't care about the news. They care about impeaching Trump. That's it. That's all they care for, because they know that if they impeach him, well, they're thinking that he can't be reelected. But of course, even if the Congress votes to impeach him, it still has to pass the Senate, which it's not. It's not going to. Anyway, these people don't get it. I don't know. I don't know what is like wrong upstairs with these people, because I would think they had to have some degree of sense to be elected in the first place, but maybe they just have been in there so long they're completely corrupted. Well, they're obviously completely corrupted. Whether they were corrupted before or not, I don't know, but they certainly are now. All right, let's go back here. Yeah, here. Now, this is going to be interesting. No, really, it is. And if it's not, you can sue me. Well, don't do that. Okay, this is not what I was expecting at all. But this says, Prof ties black female obesity to Trump policies and racism. Yes, you always need something to blame obesity on. Why shouldn't it be Trump? Anyway, that's not what I wanted to get to. And now I'm a little bit worried, because I hope that I have this. Interesting. Let me see here, because it is on this website. But where on this website, I don't know. Unless they've removed it, which I wouldn't think they do. Hang on here. Just give me a moment. Give me a moment. Because it's important, man. It's important. Well, dang it. It was about Q. Well, I don't know. I'm going to have to find it for the next one, because it's very important. And I'm not sure, but that link led to that, and it now leads to a different story. So I don't know, but the story is weird. Yeah. Black female obesity tied to Trump policies. There you go. I don't know how they get to that extreme, but let me see here if it says. New Jersey professor suggested on a TV program that racism and President Donald Trump's policies are responsible for black female obesity. You mean nobody was obese before Trump? I mean, everybody was thin during Obama years, and then all of a sudden they just bulked up? The black people? Is that, the black women? Does that even make sense? No, really. Was there no overweight black women? I mean, I'm not picking on black women, but this person is saying that black female obesity is, that Trump's responsible for that. Well, so when did this happen? Did it happen his first year in, his second year? When did this happen? I want to know, don't you? I mean, were these women all skinny during Obama years? I guess so. Man, that bites, right? Just President Trump gets in there and all of a sudden, like, I'd hate that. Really, I would. I don't know. Does it work the same for white women? It should. We're all the same. But I don't know. There you go. Trump could be hazardous to your health if you're a black female, I guess. White females, not so much. I don't know. All right. Let's go on now. Well, this was an awesome article. It was about the existence of Q. I've got to find it for you for the next video. I promise. If I can possibly find it, I'll bring it to you. Well, hey, here's another one on the same thing. So there you go. There you go. All right. Retired General Paul Vallely confirms existence of Q in interview. So this is interesting. General Paul E. Valley or Valley. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I guess it's pronounced Valley. Major General USA, retired, was interviewed by show host Mike Phillip on America Canuck Internet Radio of Canada, October 14, 2019. In a wide-ranging interview, Phillip and Valley talk about QAnon, Antifa, the deep state, politics, and the biggest threats facing the U.S. General Valley was asked by a listener in Mike's chat room, who's the individual calling himself or themselves Q? Now, this is interesting. General Valley answered the following. QAnon is information that comes out of a group called the Army of Northern Virginia. This is a group of military intelligence specialists of over 800 people that advises the president. The president does not have a lot of confidence in the CIA or the DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, much anymore. So the president relies on real operators who are mostly special operations type of people. This is where Q picks up some of its information. Mike Phillips spoke about 8chan being dropped and relaunched as 8KUN, which would be backed by a military satellite. General Valley said he didn't know about that, but that there is a separate internet being created, one that could not be compromised because it is so high tech. He said the Chinese are working on the concept as well. QAnon is expected to be posting on 8CUN, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, very soon. General Valley discussed the 5 biggest threats facing our country today. Movement towards a socialist state in America, I think we'd all agree on that. Cartels and illegal border crossers, again, no arguments there. China expanding military and continuing support of North Korea, undermining of Europe, and education of youth who lack basic history and science education. Referencing the DOJ and Inspector General report rumored to be released Friday, 10/18/19. Now, to my knowledge, it has not been released unless I've missed it somewhere today. General Valley expressed concerns about possible Antifa protests breaking out around the country. He also said Antifa is very well funded. General Valley calls on all mayors to stand up against Antifa protests or be arrested for not keeping them out. Maria Bartiromo first reported the date to be October 18th, then posted by Twitter on the 14th update. IG report not out this Friday, 10/18, likely end of the month. So there you go. Yeah, now that I remember, it was supposed to be the 18th and has now been pushed to the end of the month. So it's a very, very interesting, and it says, quick explanation of QAnon. QAnon came on the scene in late October 2017. Remember it well. I was one of the very first people that covered QAnon. So, yeah, and back then we were all just trying to grasp this new phenomenon, and it was quite. I loved that time, that period in the whole thing, because all this information was dropping and everybody was researching like crazy to try to, make sense of this. And I think about how much we know today because of Q that we would not have had a clue about, because Q asked us the questions that led us to find these things. So Q dropped clues through posts that led to research by patriots around the world. QAnon's main mission is to educate, expose evil, shed light on darkness, and bring awareness and truth. QAnon taught patriots how to stand up against the deep state, New World Order operatives, and to never, ever give up. And that, my friends, is the truth. All right. Now, we have more to get to. We do. And let's go back here. Yeah, this is interesting. Of course, we know that Congressman Elijah Cummings has passed away. He was 68. And it says here by the Baltimore Sun, says U.S. Representative Elijah Cummings was a committee chairman known for his devotion to Baltimore. I hate to speak ill of the dead, but he did rip off Baltimore for millions. No, billions. It was billions of dollars. Anyway, known for his devotion to Baltimore and civil rights and for blunt and passionate speech making, he died of long-standing health problems early Thursday morning at 68. Now, I don't know. There's just a lot there that, now, there may be nothing there. It may be just he passed away. But I'll tell you one thing. I do believe that Adam Schiff forged his signature because nobody, is signing things on their deathbed. I don't believe it. I don't believe it for a second. And it says here, this is 3534, and this is from Q, the 29th of July, 2019. So not all that long ago. Of course, Q stopped posting in August, I believe it was. And I hope that we hear from him soon. But anyway, this is a Q post from then, 3534, and it says, and it has a link here to traffickingmatters.com, and it says Maryland has second most defendants charged in federal human trafficking cases. Who represents Maryland in the House Senate? Elijah Cummings. And isn't that interesting? So back then, Q was calling him out and calling our attention to Elijah Cummings, saying that Maryland has the second most defendants charged in federal human trafficking cases, and then asks who represents Maryland in the House Senate. And of course, we know that Elijah Cummings was in a whole peck of trouble because, I was going to say peck of problems, but it was peck of trouble. Because of the billions missing. Where did that go? I'd like to know. I bet you the people of Baltimore would like to know, because I think it's sad what those people have lived with for all this time. Really. And I really hope and pray that whoever gets in there does a complete turnaround. So, there you go. And let's go on to this. Corn Pop's revenge. Yeah. Corn Pop's revenge. Leftists move for the end of Joe Biden. And if you will notice, Joe's not getting positive press anymore. So I think that they've turned on him. And boy, when they turn on you, they turn on you. So I think he's done. Like, stick a fork in him. All right. Many pundits joke that when former Vice President Joe Biden gave his final answer in the Democrat debate on Tuesday night in Westerville, Ohio, he missed an opportunity to tell the story of Corn Pop again. So the story from Biden goes, gangster Corn Pop represented a serious threat to Biden when he was a lifeguard at a community pool. Corn Pop, who actually was real, supposedly, carried a straight razor, and after an altercation with the young lifeguard, Biden threatened to meet him in the parking lot. Later, young Biden claims he threatened to wrap a chain around Corn Pop's head. Yeah. The whole blow-up was over Biden's allegedly calling Corn Pop Esther, a derisive insult drawn from the swimmer Esther Williams that apparently was akin to calling the gangster a girl. But before things developed into a razor versus chain race war in the parking lot, Biden said he apologized to Corn Pop for the insult, which diffused the situation, and the incident has become part of Biden's political folklore storyline of being a grand negotiator who can calmly lead intense political situations, especially those involving race, or corn pops, I guess. Yeah. Though it seems an incredible story, Biden included it in his 2007 autobiography, and it was a central part of a dedication ceremony at a Delaware public pool at which Biden spoke in 2017. The NAACP even confirmed the details of Corn Pop and his existence for those questioning it. So when moderator Anderson Cooper at the end of CNN New York Times debate on Tuesday night closed down the debate with a question about a unique and different friendship that has shaped their lives, one would have thought thought the moderators were teeing Biden up for a perfect corn pop moment. Cooper said last week Ellen DeGeneres was criticized after she and former President George W. Bush were seen laughing together at a football game. Ellen defended their friendship, saying, "We're all different, and I think we've forgotten that that's okay, that we're all different. So in that spirit, we'd like to tell us about a friendship that you've had that would surprise us and what impact it's had on you and your beliefs." Cooper went to all 11 other candidates before getting to Biden, who closed it down at the end, giving Biden plenty of time to think about what he was going to say. Instead of telling the story of corn pop, Biden opted for a more conventional and boring answer, and one already used by several other candidates. He talked about his friendship with the late Senator John McCain. This is reassuring in the fact that we're all acknowledging that we have to reach across the aisle to get things done. No other way to get anything done in this country. The two people maybe would surprise you. The two people maybe would surprise you the most were, he's been mentioned twice, but John McCain. John McCain worked for me when he worked in the Navy, and he was assigned to me to travel around the world. We became close friends. He became very close friends with my wife, Jill. Oh, how close of friends did he become with your wife, Jill? Just asking. Visited our home. He was there with his children, and on his deathbed, he asked me to do his eulogy. John, I would say to John, you didn't see a war you never wanted to fight, and he'd say, you didn't see a problem you never wanted to solve, but he was a great man of principle. He was honorable. No, he wasn't. Biden finished with typical talking points from his stump speech about why he's running for president. Nothing remarkable, nothing outstanding, and nothing memorable. Some pundits and observers on Twitter laughed about Biden leaving corn pop hanging in the favor of the safer McCain story, mocking Biden for being unable to read the room. It says, Cooper, who were your surprise friends? Klobuchar, McCain, Harris, Rand, Bernie, McCain, Warren, my brothers, Biden. I'm going to do the corn pop story. And then Katie Weaver said, let me tell you about my shocking friend Corn Pop. I hope Biden picks Corn Pop for his surprising friendship. Please let Biden answer the name, a weird friend you have with Corn Pop. And Ellen McGirt said, missed opportunity to invoke Corn Pop. While this is more of a light-hearted ribbing of Biden in an unserious and comedic manner, Corn Pop probably was not the right story anyway for the question. It does illustrate a larger problem with the sliding campaign of the former vice president. He again had no major, memorable, positive moments on a crowded debate stage for the fourth month in a row. Donald Trump Jr., President Donald Trump's eldest son, mocked Biden's lackluster performance in a tweet by noting that, at least this time in the Ohio debate, Biden's teeth didn't nearly fall out, as they almost did in the previous debate. Seems cruel, but Biden's teeth did slip and nearly fall out of his mouth in a previous debate in a forum. His eyes exploded, bleeding on live television. Another candidate, Senator Bernie Sanders, suffered a heart attack less than 2 weeks before this debate, pushing health questions like whether any of these Democrats are actually healthy enough to run for and serve as president to the forefront of Americans' minds heading into Tuesday night. Moderators even asked several of the candidates about these concerns in Ohio's debate. This all comes, as it has been revealed by just-released Federal Election Commission campaign finance reports, that Biden's campaign spent more than he raised in funds last quarter, and he keeps slipping in polls behind rivals Senator Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, and now lags in fundraising race as well. The bigger story that broke during the debate news cycle is in its immediate aftermath. The bigger story that broke during the debate news cycle in its immediate aftermath is Biden spent nearly $2 million more than he raised last quarter. He raised $15.7 million and spent $17.6 million, while he had less than $9 million cash on hand at the end of September. That puts him at less than Sanders' $33.7 million, less than Warren's $25.7 million, less than Mayor Pete Buttigieg's $23 million, and even less than the $10.5 million that the flaming out Kamala Harris had. So And it says at a burn rate like Biden running with not much gas in the tank, the former vice president could be in some serious trouble. I'm going to skip down. Factor that together with burgeoning attacks on his son Hunter Biden's business dealings from the White House and President Donald Trump, as well as media beginning to be receptive to the criticisms, and Joe Biden has a tougher than ever road ahead. Hunter Biden's interview earlier on Tuesday on ABC did his father no favors, but by most accounts, and even CNN and journalist founder Ezra Klein of Vox are now saying that there is something to all these questions swirling around him, and that Democrats need to be prepared to deal with this. CNN published a fact check after the debate, contrasting Biden's claims he never discussed Hunter's business dealings with his son with Hunter's claims he did discuss them with his father. So yeah, and I'm not. Just goes on and on and on. The link, of course, will be with the show notes that I will upload to Patreon. But yeah, this is basically goes through the debate and stuff, and just kind of outlines the fact that Biden is slipping. I just can't see him hanging on that much longer, if at all. So let's go back and get into some other news. Why? Because we can, and we will, and we shall. All right. Don Martin, and this in reply to Barack Obama, who said, "I was proud to work with Justin Trudeau as president. He's a hard-working, effective leader who takes on big issues like climate change. The world needs his progressive leadership now, and I hope our neighbors to the north support him for another term." No, not a chance. And Don Martin said, "Highly unusual move by a former U.S. president to endorse anyone in a Canadian election. Can't recall a precedent for this." You know why that is, Don Martin? Because there isn't one. That's why. Right. There is no precedent for that. No. All right. Let's look at this. No, really. Let's. Yeah. Pelosi, we can't impeach him for political reasons, and we can't not impeach him for political reasons, says Trump is goading him to impeach him. Please, Nancy, it was your plan when Trump won the election. You're doing it for political reasons. You mad? Oh yeah, she's mad. But yeah, why would Trump be goading them into impeaching him? Why would she say that? But what is, like, look at her.
Don't tell anybody I told you this. Trump, I use his name. Trump is goading us to impeach him. That's what he's doing. Every single day, he's just like taunting, because he knows that it would be very divisive in the country, but he doesn't really care. Just wants to solidify his base. That might have been too political, so criticize him.
What is this? What is that? Where the denture's falling out? I don't know. Why does she play with her dentures? It's disgusting. Anyway, look at her smiling away.
But that's what it is. So we can't impeach him for political reasons, and we can't not impeach him for political reasons.
Let's just watch part of this again, okay? So in case you missed the first part of it. She says, "Don't tell anybody this." Who does that?
Don't tell anybody I told you this.
Don't tell anybody I told you this.
Trump, I use his name.
Trump, I use his name. What kind of drugs is she taking? Or what kind of liquid is she drinking?
Trump is goading us to impeach him. That's what he...
Yeah, he's goading us to impeach him. This woman is flat out crazy. The alcohol has pickled her brain, I think. I don't know. Anyway, let's go back. She's something. Don't tell anybody this. Okay, let's go on. Oh, this. I'm sure you guys have probably heard this already, but I'm going to tell you anyway, just in case you haven't. This is from the True Pundit. Biden knew the driver involved in his wife and daughter's death was not drunk, but lied about it for decades anyway. Yes, his wife and his daughter were involved in an accident which took their life, but it was the wife's fault, not the truck driver, and the truck driver was haunted about it for the rest of his life, has been haunted by this, and he was not drunk, and in fact, he was there trying to render aid immediately. So Joe Biden spent decades lying. The other driver in the accident that killed his wife and daughter was a lush, liquored up behind the wheel. During Joe Biden's 2008 run as Barack Obama's running mate, Pamela Hamill, the daughter of that other driver, asked that the then senator make a public apology for the years he'd spent in pugning her father. Curtis Dunn was driving the tractor trailer that collided with the car driven by Biden's first wife, Nelia. Nelia was carrying their 13-month-old infant daughter with her, and young sons Bo and Hunter were in the car too. They were on their way to buy a Christmas tree when the accident occurred. People at the time made the determination that Mrs. Biden drove into the path of the oncoming truck, possibly because she was looking the wrong way at a stop sign. Nelia and the girl died of their injuries despite Dunn's attempt to provide first aid, and the Biden sons were also hurt very badly. Politico wrote in January of this year that a friend of Biden's looked into the accident at the time and concluded she had a stop sign. The truck driver did not. When Hamill made her apology request, the New York Post reported that the chief prosecutor at the time, Jerome O'Harley, said that there is no evidence supporting Biden's long-standing assertion that Dunn might have, in Biden's word, drank his lunch that terrible day. And yet, as Post reporter Carl Hamilton noted, Biden has been alluding to alcohol being involved in the crash for nearly a decade. During a speech in 2001, Biden told an audience at University of Delaware that a drunken driver crashed into his family. He told a similar story during a political appearance in 2007. More recently, the vice president's candidate misrepresentation of Dunn has found its way into major newspapers, including the New York Times. It has also been repeated on radio and on television by major news journalists, including CBS anchorwoman Katie Couric. Yet Hamill said she had no idea Biden had been misrepresenting Dunn until late August. Although Dunn was not at fault and was quick to render assistance, he was haunted by the accident for the rest of his life. Dunn passed away in 1999, 27 years later, but as his daughter told the Post, he always got very solemn around Christmas time because the anniversary was December 18th and he never wanted to celebrate the holidays. After an exhaustive online search, I can find no mention of Biden ever apologizing to Hamill or to her family, and that Politico piece by Michael Cruz I quoted above, it was headlined "How Grief Became Joe Biden's Superpower," which is enough to make you sick after learning how Biden twisted the facts and his own grief Biden twisted the facts and his own grief for what? A slicker stump. For what? Okay. How Biden twisted the facts and his own grief for what? A slicker stump speech? Yeah. And, obviously everyone would feel sorry that he lost his wife and his daughter, his unborn daughter, to a drunk driver. Everybody would feel pity for that. But they might not feel as whatever if they knew that it was the wife's fault and the truck driver had was haunted by this. It was not his fault. It's awful. Absolutely awful. Or as Jack Fowler asked back in April of this year, it was a heartbreaking story all around, and with officials leaving no doubt of the truck driver's complete innocence, What was the point of doing or saying anything more than letting Nelia and Naomi Biden rest in peace? The answer to Fowler's question would seem to be revealed by that Politico profile. Biden chose to weaponize his grief, and any collateral damage be damned. That absolutely shocked me that someone would do that. It shouldn't shock me, but it did. I don't know. I think it's cruel. It's cruel to the truck driver, actually. It's extremely, extremely cruel. It's bad enough that he had to live the rest of his life with the knowledge that he had killed 2 people. Not through no fault of his own, but still. Anyway, now I think, let me see, I might do a couple more. Let's look at this. This is interesting. And I'll do a couple more, and then I'm hoping to do another video. So, all right. This by, I don't know how to pronounce this, Sun Q TZU. I follow this person, and they have excellent, excellent stuff, but I don't know how to pronounce her name. If someone can help me out, I'd appreciate it. What word sticks out to you in these descriptions about Representative Cummings that were posted by the cabal and fake news in the last hour after his death? Giant. Do you think they all got the same 4 a.m. memo from the CIA? Wow. Now, let's take a look at this. Here's New York AG James. Our country has lost a giant. Congressman Elijah Cummings was a true leader in our fight for a more fair and just society, a civil rights activist, a dedicated public servant, a powerful force for good. He left his mark on our communities. Rest in power, my friend. Kamala Harris. We lost a giant today. And this by Wajahat Tough Guy Ali. Rest in power, Representative Elijah Cummings, the Prince of Baltimore. And then let's go on here. Look at this from Cher. My heart is broken. Elijah Cummings has died. Elijah Cummings was a giant among men. Yeah. Oh, and here, Elijah Cummings was a godly man. I don't think so. I don't think godly men steal billions of dollars, but that's just me. And Emmanuel Jones, heartbroken. A giant among men, he meant men, not men. A giant among men has transitioned. Yeah. And then again, rest in power. Seems like they did all get the same memo. And that's by Grace Seegers. Truly shocked to wake up to news about Elijah Cummings' death. He was a giant in the House and a trailblazer. Yeah. And Holly Figueroa O'Reilly. Oh no, we've lost a giant today. R.I.P. Elijah Cummings. Yep. Yeah, I think they all got the same memo. I would think. Like, you wouldn't think, different people reacting to the same thing are not all going to use the word giant, are they? And just for the heck of it, the Twitter search plug in giant and Cummings, you'll see even more. Here are a few more mentions of Representative Cummings as a giant. U.S. Representative Cummings, a Democratic giant in the political world. And that's by Spectrum News. And Armando, a giant has passed. R.I.P. Elijah Cummings. Shirley, okay, well, let's go forward here. Common Sense Democrats, Elijah Cummings was a dedicated civil servant and a giant in the Democratic Party. And Jennifer Steinhauer, Representative Cummings was a giant mentor to so many members over the years. So yeah, very, very interesting, isn't it? And this one by G.K. Butterfield, a powerful and compassionate voice for the voiceless. We have lost a giant. And this by Chris Cairo, R.I.P. Elijah Cummings. We have lost a giant. And This by Steve Cohen. Representative Elijah Cummings has died. The Maryland congressman classed with President Trump as head of the Oversight and Reform Committee, the Washington Post. A giant of integrity and knowledge has fallen. And Bob Chipman, we've lost Elijah Cummings, civil rights legend, giant of the Senate. And Aisha C. Moody Mills, oh no, I'm so sad to see this and just heartbroken for Maya Rocky Moore Cummings and the family. We lost a giant today. And lest you think that this is just one big coincidence, here are more. Hillary Clinton, America lost a giant with the passing of a representative, Elijah Cummings. And New York Attorney General James, we've already seen this one. Our country has lost a giant. Ted Lieu, deeply saddened by the passing of our colleague, Elijah Cummings. He was a giant, revered by all. Well, I guess there's one thing you can say about him. He was a giant. All right. Yeah, what are the odds? I'd like to know that. He was a giant. A giant. It just gets more and more bizarre. More and more bizarre. I think we've just looked at this, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, we did. So, there you go. Let's go back. I'm trying to get in as much in this as possible. I think, okay, this is the last one that I'm going to hit on here. And I'm going to be back, hopefully, with another video, unless something happens in the meantime. Heinous Times Square billboard shows Trump being hogtied. Yes, it does. Look at this. I don't know if I can make this bigger or not. Nope. But yeah, it has this picture here of a very overweight Trump. He is not that overweight. And being hogtied by this woman right here. It says a disgusting advertising campaign premiered in Times Square depicting President Trump being hogtied by an angry female Marine Corps veteran. There is nothing more American than freedom of choice and freedom of speech, the athletic company Davani wrote on its Instagram page. Davani said the image is called Lady Liberty and the model is a United States Marine Corps veteran. Other photos in their campaign depict the president being bound and gagged by surly-looking feminist gals. For the record, I did not ask the individuals in the photograph whether they identify as women. I'm basing my assumption on their ample biological parts. Yeah. Sick, wrote Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk. The president receives daily death threats. Secret Service has to arrest an armed man outside his rally. And this is what is plastered in Times Square, a literal depiction of violence against him. Davani said they stand against the president and for women's rights. Yeah, we sort of picked up on that thanks to the subtle advertising campaign. A woman's right to bodily autonomy is the law of the land, the athletic company declared. The Trump administration has imposed a Title X gag rule that leaves people of color, people of low incomes, and those living in remote or rural areas with nowhere to go for reproductive health care. Davani wrote, notice how they call abortion the killing of a child health care. Yeah, this is a targeted blow to the over 4 million patients who obtain birth control, cancer screenings, and other essential care through Title X. We simply cannot stand for this. They plan to donate cash from their sale of yoga pants and tank tops to help fund abortions. Well, I'm glad I know that so that I can avoid that company. We're not afraid to make bold statements and exercise our First Amendment rights, they declared. I'm also surprised by Davani's insensitivity to the transgender community. Why did they select a biological woman for their ad campaign defending women's rights? Their tone deafness on that issue is a bit disappointing for an athletic company that prides itself on being woke. Yeah, well, I think that is absolutely disgusting. Really disgusting. I've never seen a president disrespected like this president has been. Really. And okay, so you don't like the man. All right. We get it. We get it. But respect the office. Okay? You don't have to like him. I didn't like Obama, but I never wished him harm. I never, would have agreed to, something like this depicting Obama because he was in the role of president. He was not a legitimate president, but he was still in the role. And, heck, a lot of us did not like Obama and were upset about what was happening to the country, but we didn't wish him harm or violence. Well, maybe some of us did. I sure didn't. I don't get this. I don't get this, and I don't understand how it is allowed and how people just seem to think it's funny. It's not funny at all. All right. Well, I think I'm going to stop there, and I'll get this uploaded so you'll know that I am posting tonight, and then I will work on another video. All right. Now, it is entirely possible that I could do the video to the other channel, so I will leave a link to that. I may do that because I'm trying to get that channel built up. I now have over 1,000 rather subscribers to that channel, so that is good. That's a very, very good start, but I want to get that built up just in case something happens to this channel. Then you'll know where I am. And I do want to get working on some other avenues of posting some other platforms, get some videos posted to some other platforms and kind of mirror what I'm posting to YouTube on some other platforms, just in case. So there you go. And that is it for tonight. Well, it's not it for tonight. It's it for this. So I'll see you guys later. Have a good night. Stay safe, stay well, stay blessed, and keep seeking truth. If not, Sammy's going to come and scratch your eyes out. All right.